Hey everybody, and welcome to another Cricut Craft tutorial. Before we get started, be sure to check out my website listed down below, CorinneBlackstone.com. You can find free SVGs, blogs, plus you can sign up for my free monthly newsletter there as well. Now, you may notice that I have one of my older machines out, and that's because we are going to use this for this video for part of it, but I'm going to show you how to do this in two different ways. So we are going to make some really fun acrylic ornaments. These are going to be engraved. I did one with the Explore Air 2 and one with the Maker, so I can show you guys how you can do this if you have an Explore machine or if you do have a Maker. You can make this with either or. So let's get started.
Whatever we would do, we do it just for fun.
The first thing that you'll need to do when using a file that you've downloaded from crafty.net is to extract your file. So I have a snowflake file that we're going to use, and simply all I have to do is open that zipped folder and just click extract all. Now, this little browse feature you can use if you want to put the extracted folder into a different folder, but I keep all my stuff in my Christmas folder, so all I simply have to do is click extract. It's really, really simple, super easy, and then you can just close this folder. And a simple way to tell if you've extracted it is you see this little pink icon here at the top that says extract. That just tells me that I haven't, that's like my zipped folder. So we need to upload the image in order to use it. So what we're going to do is click upload and then upload image. Now, you can browse for your file, but in this case, I just kept all of my unzipped folders into my folders category here down in my toolbar. So all I'm going to do is just drag and drop the SVG, which might show as an HTML document, so just be aware of that. Now, we're going to use this really cool looking like leafy snowflake, so all I'm going to do is just click upload. You don't have to do anything too crazy to these because they're SVGs already, so it's really, really simple. So typically, once I've already done one, I will just close it and then move on to my next one, which I'm going to do the Merry and Bright. Now, this one I'm not totally sold on the shape of, and we might not use it. I think this might throw off the circle look that I'm going for, but we'll take a look and see if we like it. Then we can just click our last one and finish this out really fast with our last ornament that we're going to do, which is this little Winter Wonderland one, and then click upload again. What I'm going to do now is click on each of my recently uploaded images, those three, and click add to canvas. Once they've added to my canvas, I can kind of resize them, play around with them to what size my ornaments are. So I'm working with a 4-inch round acrylic ornament, so all I'm going to do is just make a shape. I'm going to use a circle, and I'm just going to make it a 4-inch circle. So very, very easy. Up at the top under size, just change the 2 to a 4, and now you have a 4-inch circle. We're going to use this as the template to size our parts. Now, what's really easy is all you need to do, because if you look, it goes in front of our images. We don't want that. We want it to go behind. So right-click on the circle and just click send to back. I'm also going to change the color of my circle to make it a little bit easier to see what I'm doing. So I just change it to a light gray. So we'll just start with whichever one grabs first, which is our Winter Wonderland, and we're just going to size it down. Now, I do want it to be decently smaller than the circle itself because I don't want it to like fall off the edge, if that makes sense, when I go to make this. So I want to leave myself just a little bit of space so that it will fit nicely. So that looks like a good size for that one. And like I said, this one we may not use. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to like the little hook at the top. I don't think that I do. So let's just go ahead and not do that one at all. No big deal. We were just playing around. But this one I'm super in love with, and I think it's going to be really fun. So I'm just going to size it down and just see if I like it. I think that looks pretty good. I might want to size it down just a touch more. That looks pretty good. So we are going to engrave these, but we can get rid of the little circle. We don't need it anymore. Now, let's say that you're going to use your Explore machine. So let me change this over to Explore. And you'll see here that it won't let us do the engrave. You see the little triangle here. If you click on that, it'll tell you what's not supported. The engrave is not supported. In order to engrave with your Cricut Explore family machine, you need an aftermarket engraving tool, which I will link down below for you. So all you need to do is just leave these as the basic cut. The tool to do the engraving goes right into the blade holder. That's why you just leave it as a basic cut. But we are going to go ahead and engrave one of them with the Maker, and then I'll wait and engrave the other one with the Explore so you guys can see how to do both and like how they both come out. So let's go ahead and just do this one with the Maker. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this one as engrave, and then I'll just hide this one. That way we can kind of come back to it. We're ready to make this with our Cricut Maker because that's the one we're going to start with, but I will show you how to do the other one with your Explore. So what you're going to do is click Make It. Now, I personally like to use the center of my mat for my centering of my design. So what you're going to do is find the 6 grid line here and the 6 grid line there. And then this one's really easy because we have this circle in the center that we can kind of use to center our design. Now, this is not super easy, and it probably will be just a little off, but I'm not super concerned. I just want to get it as close as I can. I will say this is a little bit hard to see. That actually looks really, really good. So again, I used the 6 and the 6 grid just to center this. So what we'll do now is we're going to hit continue, and it may take a moment to load your settings, but I'm going to show you which settings to select because this is going to offer us only the settings that will work with the engraving tool. So it kind of like will guide you a little bit as to what we can engrave. But what I'm going to do is just wait for this to load our settings, and then we can go in and choose which one we want. So you'll see here that it kind of limits my favorites, but I don't want to use either one of those. So I'm going to go to Browse All Materials. And you'll see now that your materials list is really, really short. Do you see how much shorter it is than like normal? There's a reason they do this, and it's just so that you can only select what is compatible with engraving. Now for this one, I like to use the acrylic thick 2mm engraving and click Done. So you'll see here that it tells us that we need to load our engraving tool in clamp B. I'm going to show you guys how to load that tool and how to load your mat so that your ornament doesn't move, because that's really important that it stays nice and stable. So to change out your tip, and this is going to be for your Maker, this is the tool that you're going to use. This is the engraving tool. It comes with the quick swap housing. And this is number 41, so you'll see a 41 on the side. What you do is you open clamp B, and you'll see that it kind of pops open. Take out your fine point blade or whatever housing you currently have in there, and then you're going to line up this gold gear with the gold gear in the Cricut. Close up clamp B, and then you're ready to go with your tool. The first step for these discs is to remove the protective coating. There's going to be a protective coating on both sides. So just choose one side for now and pop that off. I like to use my pin pen to get it started, and I will say some of the coatings are a little bit harder to get off than others. This one seems like it really wants to rip quite a bit. So we're going to just try our best to get this started and off. There we go. We got a little going here. And this is important that you take it off because if you don't, it's not going to engrave correctly. So just keep that in mind. Once I usually get a pretty good peel, I'll get it off with my hand, but you can see this one kind of really wants to rip off. So let me get this off of one side. We'll leave it on the other to keep that side from getting scratched, and then I'll show you how to put this on to your mat. I'm going to use a strong grip mat for this, so the purple mat. And what I do is I'm going to find this little center point, so the center crosshair, and I'm going to center my disc on that the best that I can. Now, like I said, this is not always the easiest thing to do, but you'll see that I've kind of got 4 squares and then 4 squares, and these match up to the edges. Now, the one thing I will tell you is make sure to grab some painter's tape because you want to make sure that this is really well held down. You don't want it to move at all. So what I do is I give it a little bit of tape just across the top, and then I tape the edges, like the sides and the bottom. That's why I don't make my engraving as big as my circle, because if you do that, you run the risk of actually engraving on top of your painter's tape, which means your engraving won't be quite as deep. It still works, but it just leaves a little bit less of an engraving on it. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and just put some tape down, and you can see I put one on every side. I just want this to make sure it doesn't shift at all. I'm going to give it a good press down. Let me pull the machine into view, and then I'll let you guys watch me load it and watch it cut. One thing I want to make sure that you guys note is which side you put the dot on, because you obviously want this to go the right direction. Though with this design, it doesn't really matter. And another thing I want you to notice are these star wheels. You want to make sure to push those off to the side so that they're not going to run over the acrylic in any way at all. Go ahead and load the machine. Now with the Maker, it is going to check our tool. So it will bring the tool all the way over to the side once I hit go and make sure that I have the correct tool loaded. Then it will start with our engraving. now that this is done, you can simply unload your mat. And before you unload this from your mat, one little trick that I like to do, I'll show you guys. I like to take a little bit of extra painter's tape and I run it all over the top of the acrylic. I just sort of press it down and then push it down onto the acrylic. And what this does is it removes any of the additional acrylic dust that has accumulated from your engraving. It's important to get that dust off because it could scratch your acrylic. So I like to just kind of get that. And I don't know if you guys can see, but it pulled off quite a bit of gunk. So then all you'll need to do now is just peel off your painter's tape and you can take your ornament off of your mat. And this is really, really very, very simple. This only took a few minutes to do and it comes out really pretty. So we'll go ahead and get this all peeled off and then I'll show you guys your next step. Once you've taken this off your mat, go ahead, flip it over, and you can remove the other piece of backing because it's going to look really cloudy, or sometimes if you get, depending where you get it from, could be a brown backing, a white backing, or a blue backing, sometimes clear like this one. So you want to make sure that you do remove that. Now, I will say if you mail these, I do tend to like to leave the back on the other side, and then I just put a note in there that says, hey, remove that protective coating. That way I don't risk getting both sides scratched in the mail or something. So that's just something I like to do. But again, I just get this started and then we peel. And I'll get you guys a really, really good look at this one. But I also want to show you guys how to do this with the Cricut Explore. So I'll show you both of them once we're all done. So now we're going to set this up to use our Cricut Explore Air 2. So again, it's on basic cut and just click Make It. Now we do need to, again, center this. And again, I just use that 6 and 6 as the grid to help me center. And that looks pretty good. So we'll go with that and click Continue. Now this one, because we have it set to basic cut, it's going to kind of give us a ton of options. So what I'm going to do is go into the More Options button here. And I will show you to what we need. But you can see here that it tells me to adjust my dial to the desired material. I always leave my dial set to custom because it's just better. It gives you a lot more options. It's easier. So what I'm going to do is go into Browse All Materials, and then I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom because I think that's where the others are. Yes. So what you have here are a bunch of kind of different things that you can cut. But what I'm going to do is kind of see if I can find a product that is going to cut really like deep. And by deep, I mean a higher pressure. The Cricut Explore Air 2 doesn't have the same amount of pressure as the Cricut Maker. So if you want to find something with a lot of pressure, click Material Settings, and it's going to bring up all of this information for you. So you'll see here that you've got all these different dial settings, and it'll tell you right here the pressure. So we're looking for something that has really high pressure. So 333 is pretty good for poster boards, so that's an option. Aluminum is an option as well, but you want to use something that's going to have a pretty high pressure. I found that that worked better than trying to like do it with like light cardstock. So what I'm going to do, I think that I want to use I really think that the craft board worked pretty well, or you can use like foil poster board, glitter cardstock. You just want to use something that has a higher pressure. So I think what we'll use is light chipboard. I'm going to use the light chipboard right here. I think that one will work great. So once you've kind of figured out which setting you want to do, go ahead and just close this menu and it will take you back to here. Click Browse All Materials, and all I'm going to do is search the word light, and you'll see that light chipboard is an option. Go ahead and select that and click Done. Now I'll take you over to the machine, show you how to load the tool that we need to load, and then we can engrave. Doing this in the Cricut Explore Air 2 is going to be very, very similar to the Maker. You're going to open your clamp B and remove your fine point blade or whatever blade you have in, and replace it with this tool here. I will link this below. This is the aftermarket engraving tool for the Cricut Explore series. Go ahead and close clamp B and you're good to go. We're going to do the same steps that we did with the Maker one, and we are going to peel off that backing just on the one side. We'll line it up on the mat, and then we'll tape it down. Once you've got it all taped down, go ahead and open your machine, and she is ready to go. I've moved the star wheels already on this one. And we'll go ahead and slide this in, and then you're gonna load the machine. Now I have not used my Explore in probably 2 years, so this should be very interesting. And just like when you do the version on your Maker, you're gonna go ahead and use the painter's tape just to peel off any of that residual gunk from the acrylic. You just don't want to scratch it. You want to try to avoid it. I will say I do see some scratches from the blade, but that's okay. It happens. The one thing I will say is when you're doing it with the Explore, because it's really not made to engrave, you will need to really play around with it, and I haven't used mine in about 2 years. So I would recommend using a few testers before you commit to using your Explore. So I'm just going to go ahead and peel this off while it's still in the machine, just a little bit easier. That way the mat's not really moving around. And we'll go ahead and release the mat, put that over to the side. I'll go ahead and get the backing peeled off. I'll get them ready on the tree so you guys can see how they came out. So the first one I'm showing you here is our Maker ornament, and you can see how beautiful this came out. It is a little hard to focus on just because it's engraved, but it's really, really pretty. These are super simple, and you can see that the engraving came out really, really nice from the Maker. If you guys have questions, let me know in those comments down below. I'm linking everything that you need down below. Now here is the one from the Explore, and I'm not real happy with it. I think I would try to use the light cardstock setting, but it still came out really, really nice, and just mess with your settings and see what works best for you. I hope you guys had a wonderful time. Happy crafting!